Last night, Alderman Cliff McDonald lost pre-selection for his seat in City Ward. After 6 years in local government, he'll be bowing out at these elections. And he's not unhappy.
Yes, I was surprised, but not disappointed.
Alderman McDonald has been replaced by architect Mr John Sara, who will be the Citizens Group number 1 candidate in City Ward. Other changes on the Citizens Group ticket have occurred in South Ward, where Mr Bill Hanley, a Hamilton chemist, has taken number 2 position from Alderman Joan May, who's not standing again. In North Ward, Harry Nash, a Mayfield tradesman, has taken the place of Alderman Dick Robinson, who's bowing out after 9 years. At one stage, Alderman Robinson was leader of the Citizens Group, and he has been a dominating figure as chairman of the Waratah Estate Committee and before that the Abattoir Committee. But one alderman who will be leaving council with regret this year is Alderman Harry Edwards, OAM, who has spent 27 years on the council. In that time, he said he's read 1,400 précis, and he's sad to go.
I feel that there's going to be a great gap there, Robin. There's going to be a great gap and I'm going to miss it all. But when you look back and with experience, council's been good to me, giving me the experience and giving me the opportunity to be able to do something for the people in this great area of Midwest.
The council last night agreed in principle with the supernova idea and indicated its willingness to allow the incinerator building to be used for the Science and Technology Museum. But those behind the supernova must meet certain conditions, restoration, demolish it. The council is prepared to... While this is a significant move for supernova supporters who believe the incinerator is an ideal location for the museum, the organisers have a long way to go with the financial arrangements of the project. The building itself needs extensive repairs. If supernova is to have council's backing, it must be shown that sufficient financial support can be arranged to get supernova.
The interim feasibility study into a site for the proposed teaching hospital was released this week. The study points to the broad ridge of land behind the existing Rankin Park Hospital as the best possible site. This site was chosen mainly because it allows room for extension, even if the proposed hospital eventually doubles in size. Other factors include the central location, the land's hospital use zoning, and the good road and bus access. The Regional Director of Health, Dr Jeffrey Olsen, was not available for comment today because of commitments in the Upper Hunter. The report, however, differs from the Olsen report by recommending that the city's major accident centre should be at Rankin Park and not at the Royal Newcastle Hospital. In addition, the report points out the unsatisfactory state of many of Newcastle's hospital buildings and outlines the role that existing hospitals will take after the Rankin Park Hospital is complete. According to the report, the city's existing hospitals should close down some beds and in some cases undergo role changes if the new hospital is built. If the recommendations are adopted, the new hospital will become the centre for obstetrics, paediatrics, nerve systems, heart and kidney transplants and intensive care. 310 beds will close at the Royal Newcastle, which will become responsible largely for orthopaedics, rheumatology and general medicine and surgery. The Mater at Waratah will be a teaching hospital and oncology and radiotherapy will be its major functions. Wallsend will become a district hospital and the centre for community medicine and geriatric care. Belmont Hospital's role will be similar, with special care and obstetrics being its most important functions. Also recommended is the virtual closure of the William Lyon Hospital and the removal of the obstetrics and gynaecology departments from the Western Suburbs Hospital. The findings of the interim study will be considered by local health authorities before parliamentary approval is sought for the final recommendations.
Alderman Geddes is upset about the fact that Mrs Meehan has been regraded by the Council's grading committee just before her retirement. The pay rise of $65 a week will apply to Mrs Meehan's sick pay and long service leave. The grading committee includes the Lord Mayor, but not other elected council representatives. As chairman of the Finance Committee, Alderman Geddes says, quote, "It appears to me the council has been manipulated into giving a very big gold handshake to Mrs Meehan. I also consider that this will have disastrous effects on our wage controls or other applications for reclassification."
Well, what concerns me firstly is that the council's able to expend money without the committees knowing about it. It also concerns me that the person who had the reclassification had that reclassification based upon a report written by the Lord Mayor recommending it. The Lord Mayor then sat on the committee that approved it, and the committee in turn reports to the Lord Mayor as to a general approval of the decision. In my mind, that is a clear conflict of interest on the part of the Lord Mayor in being in those three capacities.
You've been accused of gutter politics in this.
I was accused last night by Alderman Morris of gutter politics in bringing this to the council. I feel I have an obligation to bring this to the council, and now in view of the accusation being made against me, let the people of Newcastle decide whether it's gutter politics. I certainly don't think it is. I think the people are entitled to have some access to the council and be aware of some accountability in council.
The group from Melbourne, headed by Kim Boulding, has received some assistance to take their under-18 income campaign interstate, Newcastle included. The campaigners believe under-18-year-olds on the dole should receive the same benefits as those over 18.
The Under-18 Income Campaign's hoping to go national instead of just from Victoria. We're hoping to gain as much national support as we possibly can, so we're approaching similar groups that are worried about the situation that under-18-year-olds are facing at present, and hoping that they'll become involved with our campaign and that we can go national.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in today, Susie. Good to have a chat with you. I believe that, apart from the fact that everybody knows you as a bass guitarist and a vocalist, I believe you also play piano and drums, and one of your earliest appearances was with your dad playing the old bongos when you were very young.
Yeah, that's right. I was 8 years old, and my dad got me my first set of bongo drums, and he used to take me every Sunday instead of going to church. We used to go to his gig, and he used to give me 25 cents.
25 cents was your first sort of paid gig, was it?
That's it, yeah.
And you played the bongos?
Yeah.
All right. What sort of band was your father sort of into?
He still plays now. He plays, I don't know what you call it. It's not really jazz. I guess it's popular music, like 30s, 40s, and 20s, 30s, and 40s, like 5'2" and Bill Bailey and that kind of stuff,
So you obviously had a pretty heavy family influence from a very young stage as far as getting into music, right?
We were always encouraged, yeah. Any instrument we wanted to take up, he encouraged that, yeah.
All right. So as far as your drumming and your piano playing is concerned, do you still ever use that practically these days or not?
Oh, yeah. I write on piano all the time. I have a piano at home. And I play drums whenever I get the chance. There's a drum set we have up in the music room at home, and I drive the drummer mad at soundcheck usually.
So talking about writing, when you just brought that up then...
How do you like my shoes?
Yeah, I know. Very pink.
See how pointed they are?
Yeah.
Better be careful.
Yeah, I won't ask any rude questions. On the writing, now that you've brought that up, of course, with the Chin Chapman situation, Chris Andrews is doing a lot of your stuff now, is that right?
Just that album.
Just the last
It was
album.
just a collaboration for the Main Attraction album.
Okay.
He grew up with Lenny, my husband. Right. They went to school together. And he moved near to where we live, called us up to say hello. We were about to make a new album. He had a studio at his house. We went over there to do some demos. We liked it. We said, let's do the album together. But it was just that one album.
All right. And how do you feel now about sort of not having Chin and Chapman behind you, because they were just such a powerful team for so long, especially with their association with you? It'd be just as strong as probably anybody else in the world, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, they were the two top songwriters in their heyday. They're not a partnership anymore. Right. That broke up 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. They were the best, definitely.
Now, as far as making television appearances concerned, you've done a fair bit now, right? With the two that I know of are Minder and Happy Days.
Yes.
Are you looking at taking it seriously in the future, or trying to get in a little stronger, maybe spending more time there than rather with your music?
Not more time rather than the other, no. I just take it as it comes along. I like acting very much. Mm-hmm. I will probably be doing a musical soon, and I'm sure there'll be a movie that I agree to. I've had a few offers. I've turned a lot of stuff down. And I have an offer of a lead in a play for when I get back. I like acting a lot, but I have been able to combine it together. You don't have to give up one for the other. It just means you have less free time.
Right, so if a script comes up that you're interested in, you enjoy doing it, but you're not sort of trying to get right in there and sort of leave the music?
No, I'm not gonna do a movie or anything just for the sake of doing one, no. Right. The two things I've done in acting have been very good. I want to keep that standard up.
How did you find those first early days, with your image and everything? In those days you would have been looked upon as a pretty radical lady. How did you find, the first acceptance of your image on stage?
You're talking about like in the early 70s when I first began. That's my mother calling. She wanted to speak to me about my image, actually. I called it shock therapy. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before. That was just always me. I never consciously went for an image. I was always Susie. I was always blue jeans and leather and all that. Once I opened that door, it was accepted, and now you see girls in the music business on stage and bands and all that. Nobody bats an eyelid. The acceptance doesn't come from other people. The acceptance comes from yourself.
Good evening. Many people may tell you that Premier's western suburbs are gone for 1983. I don't subscribe to that line of thought, but nonetheless they are a team in some sort of trouble. Despite their second position on the ladder, they've been anything but impressive in recent weeks. They've just had 2 wins in their last 7 games against lowly place sides, but have drawn with Curry and Lakes, teams that are now in the final 5. In recent years, the Rosellas have been the most feared side in it. But they are losing that reputation, and pretty fast. With the greatest respect to their current side, they wouldn't hold a candle to the best club side I've seen in recent years, the Western Suburbs 1981 outfit. coached by David Howell and trained by Stan Bowick, they would have held their own in Sydney competition. They were teak tough, they were well organised in defence, and they had flair and ability to burn in the back line. They've had injury problems this year, and they've already lost coach Ron Broderick and of course Brad Finnegan for the full season, and have now just regained the services of Steve Smith and of Rod Bright. They have problems also on settling on a side. They do still have David Howell. When he's fit, he is the linchpin. He is in his last year and he's a year older, but he is the key to their success with his inspirational qualities and unbending desire to win. They need him fully fit, or I think they are a team in trouble. They must play well against Maitland tomorrow to convince me they are good enough to win it. Tomorrow, Central play Curry as well at the International Sports Centre, while on Sunday, Cessnock are opposed to Macquarie at Cessnock, Lakes are at home to South Newcastle, and North play Waratah Mayfield at Passmore Oval.
I think there's a very good need for it and a great need for it in Newcastle to maintain the standard that Newcastle has been used to in both the men's and the women's over the years. By that I mean that the New South Wales under 21 championships was won by Newcastle, the New South Wales Senior Championships was won by Newcastle, and the New South Wales Veterans Championships were won by Newcastle, and we want to maintain that standard.
So tonight's proposal is aimed at maintaining that level and bringing the standard right up at all levels of hockey in Newcastle.
Yes, John, we want to keep that standard naturally as high as we can, because it's become a very technical game now, and we want to keep it that way, and we want Newcastle to stay that way.
Good morning, everyone. You know, at the end of each financial year, I review my investment portfolios, or should I say, I review the family investment portfolios. And this year is no exception. As I was going through the lists, I noticed that we had $500 worth of electricity debentures which will mature in August. At the same time, coincidentally, we were offered the right to convert in advance, let me remind you, this $500 investment into the new New South Wales Premier State bonds. Now, with an interest rate, or should I say a top interest rate of 15.6%, we decided to take up this offer because we don't know what interest rates will be in August or September. Now, they may be higher, they may be lower, but bearing in mind that we were only receiving around 11% from this original investment, and we can now reinvest and earn 15.6% with government guarantee, we're more than happy to make this decision, notwithstanding what might happen to interest rates over the next 2 or 3 months. Now, quite frankly, that's something you should do as well. As we were going through the lists, I also noticed that we held $200 worth of John Lysart debentures, and I'm sure most of you will know of John Lysart. Now, these debentures are due for repayment on the 31st of July. Anticipating this repayment of $200, we decided to put down a $20 deposit, 10% in other words, on another semi-governmental loan, and we will pay off the balance of $180 when that John Lysart debenture is repaid to us on the 31st of July. Now, to me, those are things that you should be doing as well. So whether you're a small investor or a medium investor or a large investor, make sure you review your portfolios regularly. I'll see you next Monday.
Shortly before 11 o'clock this morning. Ahead of the dancers are 2 days of rehearsals, while other staff will be busy preparing the Civic Theatre. The Dancers Company was formed in 1980. Generally, it's seen as a stepping stone between the Australian Ballet School and the principal company. Most of the dancers are young, but what they lack in experience is made up for in enthusiasm. The young company will be joined by guest artists from the Australian Ballet for the Newcastle season. The dancers have performed in Newcastle twice before, Giselle in 1980 and Coppelia in 1981. The director, Mr. Brian Ashbridge, says this year's triple program offers more variety.
Well, this time we're doing a triple bill, opening with Swan Lake, Act 2, and then we're doing a new ballet by Robert Ray called Three Sisters, and then we're closing the program with a very, very satirical, witty, funny ballet called Symphony in D, which was choreographed by Jerome Robbins. And I saw the ballet some 5 years ago in New York and phoned our administrator and said, well, this is a must for the Australian Ballet, and it's been proved a great success.